We'll start in 3, 2, 1. We continue our session. Please invite the candidate Hutsal Oksana Petrivna.
Доброго дня.
Hello. We're considering the compliance of a candidate for a position of HSC judge, Oksana Petrivna Hutsal, with criteria envisaged by Part 4, Article 8 of the law of Ukraine on HSC. We have here present the PCIe members, Robert Heinbruckheisen, the chair of the PCIe, Norman Aas remotely, Mary Kay Butler remotely, Gabriela Chetkайте-Graskiani, Jessica Thompson, and John J. Olson. And we have the HQCG members present here, Чумак Сергій, Дух Ярослав, Кадисюк Роман, Кушнір Ігор, Амелян Олексій, Самодаш Роман Ремоутлі, Сидорович Руслан, Колюш Олег, Мельник Руслан, Богоніс Михайло, Олена Шевчук. You have a right to submit recusals, motions, express your positions and concerns, challenge the decisions of the Commission as envisaged by the legislation procedure. Do you have any recusals? No. Then, the rapporteur on this candidate, we have Mr. Kolus. Mr. Kolus, over to you. With the decision of the High Qualification Commission of Judges of Ukraine dated June 3, 2025, competition was announced to fill 23 vacant positions of judges of the High Anti-Corruption Court and the Appeals Chamber of the HCC. Within the established time frame, Oksana Petrivna Hutsal applied to the Commission for admission to the announced competition for the vacant position of judge of the HCC as a person who meets the requirements of paragraph 1 of Part 2, Article 7 of the law of Ukraine on the HCC and to conduct qualification assessment regarding her to confirm her capacity to administer justice in the relevant court. By decision of the HQCJ dated September 16, 2025, Madam Hutsal was admitted to the qualification assessment and competition. By decision of the Commission dated September 19, 2025, a qualification assessment was defined within the competition for vacant positions of judges in the HCC and the appellate chamber of this court. By decision as of September 19, 2025, a qualification exam was scheduled as part of the competition and the sequence of stages for its conduct was determined. The decision of the HQ Qualification Commission of Judges of Ukraine as of 4th February 2026, the overall results of the first stage of qualification exam were approved, and with the general score of the candidate was 355.87 points, and she was admitted to the second stage of the qualification assessment. With review of her dossier and interview candidates qualification in 2009, Madam Hutsal graduated from the Classic Private University and received a full higher education in the specialty law and obtained the qualification of Master of Law. The candidate has no academic titles or degrees. From 2009 to 2016, she worked as a judge assistant at the Zavodsky District Court of Zaporizhia. By decree of the President of Ukraine as of August 1st, 2016, Madam Hutsal was appointed to the position of judge of the Rihov District Court of Zaporizhia Region for a term of 5 years. By decision of the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court as of July 5, 2022, Judge Hutsal was seconded to the Rihov District Court of the Zaporizhia region on July 5, 2022. She has over 9 years of experience as a judge and is fluent in the state language at the second level. The candidate submitted declarations of integrity and family ties, as well as a person authorized to perform functions of the state or local self-government. During the competition, the Commission sent requests to the State Judicial Administration of Ukraine, the Security Service of Ukraine, the OPG, the State Border Service of Ukraine, the NACP, National Police, NABU, Ministry of Justice of Ukraine, and other state bodies, and received relevant responses. That's all from my side. Have you mentioned everything correctly? Yes. Mr. Chair, over to you. Thank you. Mr. Robert, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Andrei. My name is Robert Broekhuis. I'm also the rapporteur in your case, so I will be asking you a few questions, if you don't mind. I hope that you agree that I call you Oksana. Is that okay? What should I say? That's all. My pronunciation of Ukrainian is not so good. Can you tell us, I've seen, of course, that you are an experienced judge and that you have been involved in, I believe, more than 150 criminal proceedings. But I have not seen that you have any experience in corruption cases or real experience. Can you please explain why you feel that you're a judge that could be acting as a judge in the high anti-corruption court?
I can say that at my under my consideration, there was one corruption crime case that's under Article 369, and I considered that case. I made a verdict, and I also considered administrative files on bringing to administrative liability, specifically regarding submission of declarations. And I think that my experience will be enough to have this position. Maybe indeed. I don't have enough experience specifically regarding corruption cases in terms of their consideration, but I have this wish to learn, to study. I'm open to new things, and I'm sure that I will manage to do it.
You may have, what I have read in the press in Ukraine is that sometimes nowadays corruption cases go really international, but monies that are paid out of Ukraine internationally that disappear into Dubai, British Virgin Islands, Miami, and other dodgy places. You have any experience with that?
No, I don't have such experience.
And you expect to gain the experience when you are a judge, I guess. How will you learn this?
I'm going to apply relative legislative acts. Yeah, I will study things that I don't know. Maybe I will need to study some international legislation. So, as any person, I'm going to. So, Madam Oksana, please speak closer to the mic because we can't hear you properly. Thank you. So, as any person, I'm going to dig into details of each situation. I'm very careful with details when I consider a case, and I think that it will help me.
Thank you. I have noted that you worked in the Orikhiv District Court of Zaporizhia Oblast while you live in Zaporizhia. And I'm told this is 76 kilometers from your living place to where you work. And I understand you start a very early morning to go to your job and you get home very, very late. And why do you do this? Why don't you just live near your working place?
Orikhiv settlement. It's a small town, and it's quite hard to find normal accommodation with decent conditions. I tried to do it. I managed to find one apartment. For a certain period of time, I was staying there, but the living conditions didn't satisfy me, let's say it so. And trying to commute each day, I realized that it's not that hard. It's up to hours as maximum. So at the morning it was tops 2 hours. And yeah, at the evening maybe up to 2 hours. So roughly at 7 p.m., sometimes even earlier, I was back home. So it was normal for me. It's normal for me.
But that would mean that you would start early morning. You have to walk to the bus. You go sit in the bus with many other people. After some time, you have to get out of the bus. You have to wait outside in the cold for the next bus. You step in the next bus. You go to the bus station, sitting with many people there. They're all wet, smelly. And then you go out of the bus and you have to walk to the court. That's what you do every morning. And you do it the same way, the other way around. It doesn't sound so easy, does it?
Ну, можливо, і не звучить так легко.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't sound so easy, but you described it so well. Yeah, how it happened in reality.
Іноді дійсно
Sometimes, indeed, it's uncomfortable for you regarding who is sitting next to you at such public transportation. It was rarely,
в холодну пору року.
but yeah, when the weather was cold, yeah, maybe it's about discomfort, but you need to put your warmer clothes on and just go do your job. I can even describe you what public transportation I took, what types of public transportation I took, how much time it required from me, if you need such details.
And would you be preparing your work in the bus? Because if you have a case the next day, how do you prepare your work?
Я вже вдома була о 7-й
At
годині.
home,
Цього часу
I was back at home at 7 p.m. It's enough time. Marshrutka, that small bus, I don't have this opportunity. So I'm also taking care of my eyesight. You can see that I use glasses. I don't have good eyesight, and I don't have this opportunity to worsen it even more. My colleague has also accompanied me together with me. He's also from Zaporizhia. So together with him at Marshrutka, so sometimes we discussed some cases or some court practices. It happened like this. Mainly, it was enough time. So the workload wasn't that so high at Zaporizhia district court. So it was enough time.
Because it seems to be logical to have a car when you do this, especially when you're traveling together with your colleague. You can go together by car, which is even cheaper. Why did you do this?
У мене не було транспортного
I
засобу.
didn't have a vehicle and I didn't have funds to purchase it at that moment. I needed to take a loan in order to purchase it. And I'm not a fan of loans.
Я є така людина.
Yeah, so I'm a person like this. I usually rely on those monies that I have. So I needed to purchase a vehicle and take a loan. It was the only time when I needed to take a loan, indeed. It was the start of the pandemic. And public transportation actually was indeed challenging. At that moment, I think Marshrutka, those small buses, were not driving at all. So my colleague had bought a vehicle 1 month before the pandemic. So he gave me a lift, but it wasn't very comfortable because, for example, at 5 p.m., I'm ready to go back home, but he is, for example, working till 6 p.m., so I needed to wait for him. No, I decided to purchase my own vehicle at that moment. I received already the driving license. I had already some savings, and those savings were not enough for me to purchase a vehicle. That's why I needed to take a loan. For 3.5 years, I was driving, and then 3.5 years I used public transportation, and then vehicle appeared.
Okay, my experience is that many judges use the cars of their mothers-in-law. Why didn't you do that? Because she had a Hyundai Elantra.
Я розумію, свекрухи.
Yeah, I understand. My mother-in-law had that car. I think that at the end of 2013 or 2014, that's when she bought that vehicle. That vehicle was used by my father-in-law. That's first thing. Secondly, at that moment, I hadn't had a driving license. I received a driving license only in September 2019, and that's why I didn't have that opportunity. Even physical opportunity to use that vehicle. And I didn't have relevant skills and to drive.
We have noted that you say that your husband, your former husband, that is, I guess, didn't have an income in 2015 because there was no income declared for him. That's correct, huh? And I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that your former husband used to be a defense attorney.
Yes, he has his attorney's license. In 2015, he didn't have any income. I saw that CSO expressed concerns that in one case, he was a representative. And I was in touch with my ex-husband to clarify the thing, and he explained to me that highly likely it was some kind of pro bono services, some kind of acquaintances of him or something like this. But yeah, he didn't work. He didn't have clients. And later, he joined the free legal aid system. When he started working there, he started receiving more or less stable income.
But was he ill in 2015? Or why didn't he work?
Щоб це пояснити, напевно, слід
In order to explain it, maybe I need to go to closed part of an interview. I'm not ready to discuss it in public.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
Окей.
The candidate
Ну, ми можемо це обговорити
We can discuss it
закритому режимі.
in a closed part of the interview to clarify this issue. Okay.
Переходимо до
Yeah, so
закритого
then let's move
режиму.
to the closed part. Back in 3, 2, 1.
Комісія і члени
The Commission and the PCA members discussed the reasoning for such motion. The motion on merits has not yet been discussed, but the motives, the reasons expressed by the candidate allow us to
закритого обговорення самого
move to the closed deliberation of the motion and to decide on the merits of the motion, whether to satisfy the motion or not. And now 801.
Можу відповідати.
Комісія
I can
і
answer.
члени
Oh,
громадської
no.
ради міжнародних
The
експертів
Commission and the
обговорили
PCA members have
питання,
discussed your
одноголосно
motion,
ухвалене рішення про
and
виконання
there was
задовольнити.
unanimous decision is
Отже,
made to satisfy
саме це
your motion.
питання,
So specifically
після
this part,
зрештою,
this question,
будемо
not all
розглядати,
others, will be
обговорювати в
considered
закритому
and
режимі.
discussed
Прошу
in the
припинити
closed part
зараз
of the interview.
трансляцію.
So please.
Resumes in 3, 2, 1.
Трансляцію відновлено.
Now we go to
So the broadcast is resumed.
Okay, thank you. We go to another subject, and that is what they call here, and then I have to look it up, of course. That's the 131 stuff, the drunken driving cases. You have seen that civil society made a few remarks, that a few cases that you handled were laid off because of time elapse. That's correct, huh? And I've noted that that what I'm told, you had in total maybe 181 of those cases, and 9 of those cases were not handled further because of elapse of time. And I've seen a few of them. I looked because I've seen which cases that were, and you motivate always the reason why this was not been handled.
Так.
You motivated in your judgment. So I've been looking at the judgment, and I noticed that a few of those cases is refusing the alcohol test. And I understand that if someone refuses the alcohol test, that something needs to be done within 3 months, and if not, then the time elapses. Can you explain to me why that didn't happen in these cases? And what's the normal procedure, and why didn't you do it in these cases?
Об'єктивні причини були для відкладення.
There were
розгляду
objective
справ.
reasons to postpone the review of those
Що,
cases.
знову ж таки, маленьке містечко
As
Оріхів,
again, we have a
пошта
small
працює
town,
не
Orikhiv.
дуже,
The
добре,
post
особливо,
doesn't
якщо
work very well,
правопорушники
especially if the offenders, the persons who had liability against you,
якщо
that's
вони
better to
проживали в
say,
віддалених селах.
if they lived in faraway villages.
Часом повістки туди могли
Sometimes the subpoenas
але відомостей про те, що
may arrive there, but there was no information whether the person actually received that or not received. Or we could get that in a month or 2. It could be just the return of this envelope with the subpoena. So in these cases, there were objective reasons for postponement, because for due informing was lacking. There was no evidence at the moment of the review that the person was duly informed about the review, and that's why looking at that case without the evidence, and then person just would write an appeal complaint for that reason, then they would just actually cancel this.
Також були там випадки заявлення клопотань.
So there were also cases of there was a petition, like for example the police, those who are noted in the protocol. Also, there was a big problem with these people appearing. So normally, I subpoenaed them to one court session. If they didn't show up, then I subpoenaed them one more time, and for the third time, I already didn't do that. Still hoping that these people would come. Well, to ensure the right of person to defense, in this way, I looked at those cases, not to violate this conventional right.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions, but I'm just looking at my colleagues. Mary, Norman? No? So over to you, Mr. Chair.
Дякую, пане Олеже.
Thanks.
Все ж таки хочу повернутися до питання
Still, I would like to come back
місця
to
проживання
the
Запоріжжя.
question about the place of residence in Zaporizhia and work in Orikhiv District Court. What is the distance between Zaporizhia and Orikhiv? Well, if you calculate, it's 50 kilometers. But I also had to travel 25 kilometers more through the city to actually reach the point. So in total, 75 kilometers for me, 75. So every day I travel there, yes. Wouldn't it be easier just to rent an apartment in Orikhiv? No, it is a big problem in this town. My colleague from Kharkiv, he lived in a dorm. Also, the conditions weren't really good there. He was looking for an apartment, if I'm not mistaken, for about 18 months to find something decent. You've been an investigative judge, yes. Were there cases when you had to stay there until late at night? It was rare. I can't really remember. Normally until 6 p.m., but the connection between Zaporizhia is about until 8 p.m. But if, for example, I mean, it was clear that today you won't be able to go. Did you find place to spend the night? No, I didn't have cases like that. No, I didn't. Okay, clear. Then let's move to the questions contained in the information provided by the public. In particular, in Chapter 3, Declaration for 2022 to 24, you noted that on the 15th of May 2022, you acquired the right of use, free of charge use, for an apartment, 50 square meters in the city of Kremenets, Ternopil region. The ownership right to that apartment belongs to citizens of Duke. Could you tell us about the nature of your relations with this person? Yes, this is actually the cousin of my mother. I provided the proofs plus the family photos. I lived with her during my studies in Kremenets when I got my first university degree. We have very close relationship. We keep calling each other. Now she lives abroad at her daughter's place. Well, yeah, family relations. I don't have like a real aunt, so I treat her as a real aunt, almost like a mother. We have very warm relationship. Okay, it's clear. This date, 15th of May 2022, is it correct? Yes. And the free of charge of use for this apartment, is it also correct? Yes. Well, I pay for utilities. Also, there was a debt for utilities until the aunt was absent. While the aunt was absent, it was some condominium payments. Also, there was a debt for gas. Okay, it's clear. So is it a free of charge use, in your opinion? I believe so. Okay, clear. The following question about the changes in your property state. You said that on the 5th of August 2025, you acquired ownership for an apartment, 31 meters. So the market value is 621,778 hryvnias. At the same time, in Chapter 9 of Annexes, changes about significant, it was not indicated. You indicated that on the 5th of August 2025, it was 1,100,000 hryvnias. Can you explain the reason of this discrepancy? Yes. Maybe I was mistaken when noting this cost. What kind? Well, where it's 600,000 is the valuation. Well, maybe I should have noted 1,100,000 here and there as expenses, because actually I bought it for 1,100,000. It is indicated in the sales agreement, and the sum of 621. That's just evaluation cost. And the sales agreement is also, this sum is also noted. But in the sales agreement, and what is 1,100,000? And how can you just confuse the cost? I didn't get confused. The thing is that I looked at the explanations of the National Anti-Corruption Agency, how to correctly put it. Maybe I haven't understood them correctly, but there is a list there. The latest monetary relation and all that. Well, I believe this is the last monetary relation actually. So what you saw, you actually filled it out, the latest evaluation. Yes, quite possibly. Yeah, not to allow that mistake. I won't make it for now. It's like that. Okay, the following. According to the dossier in 2007, the candidate actually at the same time in this declaration for 2016, she said, I confirm in item 22 declaration about all that they were actually those that can have as a consequence the charges. In 2016, was it your first declaration? Yes. So there is a requirement that you have to know the circumstances that happened your the whole life before the date of this declaration. So why didn't you indicate that you actually had charges for this? I can explain. I had no intention to hide this information because when appointed as a judge, this information was discussed in the same room. Actually, I was asked these questions, and when filling out all the questionnaires, I noted this information. When evaluating that point, I believe that as this this charge was already paid for. A lot of time has passed. The item was that I thought that these are the actions that were performed, and the liability hasn't yet arrived that can actually have, because here there is already liability. So for some reason, that's how I filled it out. Maybe I was mistaken.
Помилилися.
You were mistaken. Well, that's how I actually thought about. So there was no intention to hide anything like that, because I was never hiding that. Окей.
З'ясували мною всю інформацію, яка містилася
From
в зверненнях громадських організацій.
so I have this information, and let's come back. So you haven't been working in justice since 2020 and 2021. What have you been doing all this time? Going to work, first of all, I'm trying to help my colleagues if they ask me to find some latest jurisprudence in some cases. I make generalizations of the jurisprudence. Where do you look for that information and generalizations? I look at court decisions at the Supreme Court website, also in digests. So in this way, I'm helping generalizations. If they arrive from the Court of Appeal, I'm also preparing that. I also participate in the court meetings. Mostly I am put as a secretary. And I'm always at work. Okay. Then I ask more questions. I was just thinking about that. Could you please tell me, what are the tasks of high anti-corruption courts are defined by legislation? In particular, the law of Ukraine on high anti-corruption court. Well, that's delivering justice by the court of the first instance and the court of appeal, criminal proceedings, which included the competence of high anti-corruption court by the law, also the judicial control of these criminal proceedings, review of civil procedures, requirements on the assets, and also as for administrative charges, also what we look at is according to the sanctions law. Well, I was more interested not by the authority but the tasks, but actually, yes. But you made some compilation out of it. But are there defined tasks of the high anti-corruption court? Does it include fight against corruption? I believe so. No. No, that's why I asked this question, because in your motivation letter, high anti-corruption court is called something which is located in the system of fighting corruption. That's the court. The court doesn't fight anyone. Okay, that means that I was mistaken. Then the following question. According to the Code of Administrative Offenses, can you appeal to the decision of the Court of Appeal in a cassation court? In the case about when, for example, it was decided that to ensure something. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, no. It does. Not. Actually, it does. But I may be mistaken. Actually, it does. But in which cases should you do you appeal to in the which decided an issue to ensure that in the case for the sanctions? I cannot say. Okay, thank you for the answers provided. I have no more questions. Oksana, I have a question about the events. When you refused an identification number and then in a year, a bit less maybe, you refused this refusal. So what were the events before that? Why did you refuse getting an identification tax number, and why did you then come back and decided to have it? Actually, there was a refusal from religious convictions. My mother is very religious. I was still a student at the time.
Хоча вона має, якщо я не помиляюсь зараз.
Even though I believe that she now has identification number, my mother, my sister still doesn't. I got married. I'm sorry, Oksana. The question is to you, because it is in your passport. Yes, there is a note on that. It was religious, the religious reason. I refused and then I changed my mind. So you changed your convictions. I decided that this is not that significant. I mean, I changed my attitude to this issue, let's say. Okay, thank you.
Добрий день ще раз. Я хотів
Good
би
afternoon. I wanted
задати питання
to ask the following question
щодо ваших доходів, витрат.
about your income and expenses.
2015 року.
Declaration back from 2015.
У вас задекларовано доходи.
You have declared incomes. I look at chapter 11, 48,000
рік.
in a year.
Активів.
No monetary assets.
Очевидно, що,
Obviously,
скажімо, за відомостями
according to the
Державного
information
статистики,
from the State Committee of Statistics,
витрати на одну людину
the expenses
в 2015
per one person in 2015
становили
were about
більше 40
more than
тисяч. Це ж,
44,000
середні, мінімальні. Тобто
on average or minimal. So actually,
цей рік.
how did you manage to live this year? Okay, I'm going to tell you now. During the period of my husband's working, my ex-husband, we accumulated about $15,000. Later, we lived for this money. I can say the specific sum that remained, but in 2015 it was there, and plus my parents, the parents of my ex-husband. I'm thinking for them. They actually helped us a lot with food. They had their own little farm, like they were chickens, turkey, eggs, and meat. We had that, and everybody knows that this is a significant part of expenses of every family. Also, they provided vegetables. They were growing their own potatoes and other vegetables. So in this way, we managed to survive.
Виживали.
You survived. Okay. Well, that's how you could call it. What about 2016? In 2016, when were you appointed as a judge? Since August? Yes.
Правильно. Тобто ви
Since August, that's
7
correct.
місяців не були
So for several months you weren't a judge.
Добре.
Yes, I was a judge
Декларація
assistant.
16-го року.
Declaration from 2016, I mean 2015, you don't have any monetary assets.
Дохід вашого чоловіка
The income of your husband for 2016 is 2,000 hryvnias. Your salary, I mean, it only started in August. For 7 months, how did you manage to live? You didn't have any more savings, no more savings. And the salary started, I mean, only in September.
Грошове забезпечення судді.
So, I mean, the salary of the judge. It only started in September. This means that for 8 months, you had no income to speak of and also no savings. Why no income? I actually had income because I was assistant to the judge and I also received my salary. So this includes also the salary of the assistant judge. Yes, this is the total sum of the salary.
З суддівської винагороди.
So actually, well,
53 тисячі
53,000,
за відомостями державного.
according to information of the State Statistics
Середні
Committee,
витрати на
average
одну
expenses
людину в той
per one
16.
person in
Якщо з вашим
2016.
чоловіком, це 106 тисяч.
Together with your husband, it would be 106,000. That's like the minimum amount needed for expenses. So then there's 16,000 left for the entire year. And that's given that your judicial enumeration was paid since September. And before that, the salary of the judge's assistant, we know about the level of that. But you were also traveling every day back and forth.
Чоловіка доходів,
And your husband actually had income of 2,000 per year, that's about nothing, I know. But still, it's not clear how you live, how you covered your living expenses during these months and year. And the same will be after that, until 2020, where you could buy a car. Yes. Parents of my former husband helped us. They helped us with food, and that's what I was answering to previous questions. There can be no other answer. So if I ask you now about 2018, the answer will be the same. In 2018, I need to see the years. I will tell you now. Okay. 2015, 2016, parents were helping. Yes. What was the occupation of the parents? My father-in-law was the chief engineer of Zirka factory, and my mother-in-law was a teacher. And they were also getting income from land lease. My mother-in-law was getting that. Okay, look, 2018, you're already the judge. Financial remuneration is 256,000. Everything is transparent, everything is obvious from the declaration. Declaration for 2017, again, assets, no. Assets, zero, financial assets. And it's clear because you got 209,000 and basically nothing left there. And plus you were traveling every day to work and back. Yes, I had expenses in that. By bus, right? Do you recall the price of the bus ticket? 100 hryvnias? No, not 100 hryvnias. When I started was 50 hryvnias. I don't remember, frankly speaking. Not to lie, I will not say that. Okay. I'm mostly triggered by 2018, so to say. 256,000. That's your remuneration. For 2018? Yes. Again, according to information, expenses per capita in the Zaporizhia region were 83,000 per year. My husband also had the income of 48,000. Yes, but 256,000, we understand that you need to deduct about 20% from that. That's gross income. So net income was 200,000 and 48,000 of your husband. 250,000 in total, but 83,000 according to information of the State Statistics Committee in Zaporizhia was per capita expenses. In in district centers, it's more, in regions, it's less, but obviously in the regional center, that is in Zaporizhia, the level of life is higher, prices are higher, but we won't take that into account. We will take the average, 83,000. 83,000 plus 83,000, 166,000. And you also have savings of 80,000, plus 10,000 were borrowed. So you are borrowing what you have not even earned. Why haven't I earned? I earned those funds. Again, parents were helping us. They were helping us all the time. Even when we already had more significant income. There are people like that, you know, they cannot come without bringing some bag with food. That's happened like that. That's why maybe that's the explanation for the difference because of this food product that they are giving us. Please understand me correctly. According to mathematical information, purely based on mathematics, and we understand that you're a judge. You have to look nice, etc. If we talk about the income, deduct expensive, even based on statistics, deduct what and add that you are having savings, and then you are also lending money that, sorry, you were in deficit in that year. You know, And then in a year after that, you bought a car. Let me explain. I'm a very ordinary working family. I know how to save money. I know how to save money. And I was in different life circumstances in my life. That's why I know how to say no to myself in order to accumulate savings. And I did not have and could not have other money that I could spend. If it is declared like that, then it was like that. Who them? Financial savings. That's your information. Yes, yes. Yes? Okay, I understand. If that's declared, it is like that, but I would like to repeat again. If we calculate everything mathematically, then to have money to borrow to someone 10,000, you did not have that because you were already in that deficit. I was not in the deficit. How could I be in the deficit? Okay, then something was not declared as to what you had. No, it could not be like that. I'm always very responsible in declaration. Then it means that I was limiting myself in some regards. Maybe I did not buy a new shoes or new clothes. And parents of my ex-husband were also helping us. But at the same time, you were lending money. You were limiting yourself in order to lend money. My brother asked and I borrowed. Okay, thank you for your answer. Ruslan, please.
Добрий день, член комісії Руслан Сидорович.
Member of the Commission, Ruslan Sidorovich. If possible, I would like to follow up on some details with you regarding your professional career. If I understand it correctly, you, in addition to this competition, you are also now in the competition for transfer. Yes, everything is correct? Yes.
За якою спеціалізацією?
Under which specialization?
Нагадаю.
Remind me, please. There was no specialization, if I'm not mistaken. General. Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. And you also took part in the competition to General Courts of Appeal. Yes, I had this experience. But experience is always great, almost always. But you did not get the minimum threshold score. Please remind us the specialty, civil specialization that I was on the 4th, yes, on the 1st of February. Okay. And are you now challenging this decision? No. I closed that story for myself, and it means that it should have been like that. I was philosophical in my attitude towards that. Okay, understood. You know that the range of candidates are challenging respective decisions, and he did not submit a claim to the court to challenge it. No. Once I was addressing with a request when the results were approved. I think almost all candidates asked not to approve the results, and then yes, I did submit that application, but not more. Okay, understood.
Ну, гаразд. Дякую.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, do we have any other questions? No? Yes, please. Thank you for this opportunity to ask the question. It's very short. When I was looking through the list of decisions that you are proud of, your decisions, quite an unusual situation when you are referring to one of the decisions that you are proud of, but which was, as you are pointing out, and as confirmed, that was partially quashed by the decision of the Court of Appeal. Please explain what makes you proud. That's Article 115? Yes, 115. That's just for understanding. For international experts, that's murder. Yes. That was a panel of judges. Considering this case, I was the presiding judge. And that's quite a complicated case in terms of evidence Lots of time was spent on the preparation of the verdict, and that was not an easy case. And the Court of Appeal changed the decision only based on grounds of a mild punishment, and I do not believe that it is a significant change. The verdict was upkept because really there were very interesting circumstances. What was the complexity there? Many witnesses had to be interrogated from the Roma community. That was very difficult. Roma witnesses, lot of witnesses. And it was very difficult to understand what they wanted to tell the court. There was also a complexity. The defendant was also from this national group. I don't know. Psychologically, it was a difficult case. In what regard psychological? It was a murder. Psychologically for you? Not for me. But for whom then? Maybe I've said it incorrectly. How should I phrase that? It was interesting for me, first of all, to consider this case, and I developed as a judge in the process of this case consideration. And I mentioned it because among the list of cases that I was considering, I believe that we did quite a good job while considering this case together with the colleagues. Okay, thank you for your answer. Thank you. Yes, please. One small question in continuation of this topic. You said that the complexity of the case was related to the fact that witnesses from a specific ethnic group. Is it normal for a judge to apply such a notion as ethnic group to witnesses and to say that that is difficult? How are you going to deal with that? In the court, if you become a judge of the anti-corruption court, they might have different representatives of different ethnic groups. Will it be a complexity? Does it comply with the European Convention? No, that's just additional information that I've mentioned. I believe that I and my colleagues did well in this case, and there was no biased attitude in connection with that towards persons in this criminal proceeding. Colleagues, do we have any other questions? Yes, please. You submitted an application to the Court of Appeal, and as far as I understand, you chose civil specialization. So you believe that after all, you have more competences, you are stronger in civil and not criminal jurisdiction, right? It looks like that. No, I cannot say that. No, equally. I would say that I'm equally interested in that, in both. I just chose the civil specialization because I was passing the qualification evaluation using that specialization. I chose it for some reason. I did not care, frankly speaking, which one to choose, but I chose it for some reason. Okay, colleagues, do we have any other questions? No more questions? No questions. I have one question about your motivation. Could you please tell us very briefly, firstly, secondly, thirdly, what are the main three reasons that motivate you to take part in this competition and to work as a judge of the Hague? And in the aspect of priority, like the first one, the most important, then less important, and then the least important. First of all, that's an opportunity of career growth. That's important for me, probably. That's the first priority for me, professional development. And another of reasons that is less prioritized is to have a permanent place of work, because I'm the delegated second judge, and I temporarily work now in Kamianetsky District Court of Ternopil region. I want certainty in life, and I want to have a permanent place of work. And what about the third reason? The third reason? Professional development. That's the first one. Career growth.
Зростання, професійний розвиток, можливо, в різний зміст вкладається.
Це не тільки
So career growth, professional development, no, it's not only related to it. So career growth is the first place and professional development, that's the second place, and constant place of work is the third. So it means that right now, if you are at the permanent place of work, if you don't have such a challenge, then you would not participate in this competition. No, maybe not. Sorry, I didn't hear. Maybe I would try.
То виходить, це не
It means that it's not that significant reason, so we exclude it. But anyway, you have the same approach to this competition. And I have only two reasons, two key reasons, and this is as an additional one. I don't know, that's what it is. Yeah, of course, what it is. Yeah, indeed, that's your motivation, your reply. Thank you.
Пані Оксана, якщо можна ще питання.
Madam Oksana, one more question to you.
Я не сформував остаточне розуміння для себе.
I think I didn't grasp completely
Ви зараз берете участь
what you have told us. So, look, right now, you are participating in the competition to the HACC,
який здебільшого працює з кримінальним правом і процесом.
which mainly handles the cases of criminal law and criminal process. But at the same time, you applied to the appellate court competition under civil specialization. Can you please explain
Пріоритет у
why
контексті
did you change so drastically your priority in terms of procedural focus of attention? Answering to the previous question, I said that it's equal for me, civil and criminal specialization, but you opted for civil specialization. Yes, indeed, but I also realized that if I won in this competition, it didn't mean for sure that I would work in the specifically this chamber. Sorry, Madam Oksana, it wasn't my question. My question was why you opted for the civil specialization. No one says that it's negative or positive. I just want to understand your motives. You know, you have these options. Civil, criminal, you decided on civil. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. So what were my motives? Maybe I thought that it would be simpler for me because I have passed an assessment in the civil specialization. No, maybe some other
А
things.
ви пам'ятаєте задачі, які ви
Do you remember the tasks that you worked on? Do you mean under HACC practical task? No, I mean in the civil practical assignment. Yeah, a little bit, I remember.
можете нагадати?
Can you remind us? So there was a case, just in a nutshell, briefly, two sentences for circumstances to describe, and that's
По
all.
матеріальному праву.
So there was an material law and procedural law. So procedural law-wise, a plaintiff submitted a lawsuit to the state enforcement service. Yeah, I think there was state enforcement service, and the third person was indicated either his wife or ex-wife, and there was a dispute regarding the arrested property, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and it was a vindication claim. Yes, indeed. He asked for a recognition of the property ownership right, and there was so tasked to engage a third person as a respondent. I don't know, maybe it was a stress or not. So yeah, indeed, I agree with you. I agree with you that it was maybe a stress that I didn't notice it. What was the second task? Related to the process, to the material, no, not to the process, not to the procedural part, to the material part. I don't remember. I don't remember what was the task specifically there. Do you statutory limitation? Yeah, maybe something like this. But yeah, statutory limitation. I think my points there were quite decent. Thank you. Thank you. Madam Oksana, a short follow-up question to you. So to continue what Ruslan has asked you, at the Orikhiv court, you had no specialization. No, yeah. You have seen all cases. Yeah, I was an investigative judge, a criminal judge, so on. So when I started working there were 7 judges there. And in a few months, several judges were became retired, and there were 5 of us left. What was the workload? Has it increased? A little bit increased. So I started working in December, so I didn't, I hadn't know how it was before. So I started working already when there were 5 judges. Are there any other questions, dear colleagues? Mr. Robert, PCI members, do you have any questions?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Дякую.
Thank you.
Пані Оксана, вам надається
Madam Oksana,
ви звернутися до комісії, до членів громадської ради.
you have a right to reach out to the Commission members, to the PCIe members, and to provide any additional explanations. Now, I have no additional explanations. Thank you so much for your time that you dedicated to my candidacy, and I wish you to have a decent selection of candidates for positions of HC judges, with me or without me. Thank you. Thank you for your participation in this interview. The interview is announced